and Shincho...
Work on novels and illustrations. Then he might feel even more nervous than we do. If we start by talking about our work creating novels, lower his guard.
Oh, come to think of it, Shincho mentioned that he'd like to thank you for finishing the illustrations on time. Despite the time you had.
Is that so? That is also a very valuable clue.
There has been so many lively young customers recently.
Welcome to Uyu Restaurant. Please talk to me if you want to order.
The last phase of the Irodori Festival is when they release the all-new publications. The one I'm really looking forward to is A Legend of Sword.
Quite the collectible. I've got to get my hands on a copy.
I've seen Genyu's signature before. His handwriting is super neat. He must be really diligent about his style.
He'll be there in person on the day of the release, so we'll get a good look at him then. I hear that he's actually pretty young.
Wait a minute. Did you just hear that? Not only will Shincho be signing novels at the release, but his handwriting is super neat?
Welcome to Uyu Restaurant. Please talk to me if you want to order.
There has been so many lively young customers recently. Hello there, what can...
Hi! Do you have any special recommendations today?
Why, of course. I'd personally recommend our freshly caught seafood. It's been pouring these past few...
So the weather at sea has been bad these past few days?
It sure has. A few guests from Liyue were just telling me that their boat was heaving and rolling all the way here. They couldn't do anything but sleep the entire trip.
Oh, this might be some useful information.
That was delicious. Inazuman cuisine largely consists of fresh seafood, which is certainly to my liking.
That's good. We were worried you might not have an appetite because you didn't sleep well. Now's our chance. Let's talk to Shincho and see if he says anything useful. Maybe we could start by asking him about the journey.
Well, I've never embarked on such a long journey before. Though I was quite excited when we set off, the long days at sea quickly became most monotonous.
Speaking of the journey, did anything noteworthy happen along the way?
Well, to be honest, I spent most of the trip with my nose in a novel.
Well, that didn't tell us much. By the way, Shincho.
Oh.
Didn't you feel... Well...
To be honest, there wasn't much to see. So, when the peak of Mount Yogo finally appeared in the however...
Paimon didn't catch anything suspicious so far. Oh,
We learned a couple of things from his...
While it is entertaining to read novels, writing one is an endeavor of its own. You must give great thought to every detail, and even when you have come up with...
I couldn't agree. Whether it's writing a book, creating art, or studying alchemy, seldom can you really feel...
Shincho and Albedo are getting into...
Speaking of illustrations, my novel didn't sell, yet you've consistently managed to select the most important scene of the chapter for your illustrations. This made me feel as though what I was trying to express could be understood after all.
Thank you. However, I took some risks in the illustrations, so... I'm feeling light novel
Well, that scene...
No, there was a crack in his alibi. My illustrations... Shincho, we have something very important to ask you now.
Oh? Why the solemn looks all of a sudden? Huh? I'm afraid I don't follow.
Mr. Okazaki told us earlier that actually the weather at sea was very bad these last few days. So when you said that everyone came running to the deck to see Mount Yogo, that couldn't have happened!
On top of that, the latest installment of A Legend of Sword will only be revealed at the Irodori Festival. Even we, the creators, haven't received a sample copy. And if that's the case, how could you...
The jig's up, Shincho. You were already in Inazuma before today, weren't you? Are you in some kind of danger but can't tell us the truth? Don't worry. The Traveler and Albedo are no pushovers. We can help you.
No, please. You misunderstand me. I suppose my lack of sleep is inevitably taking its toll on my mind. I didn't notice for a moment that you were testing me at all. I did in fact come to Inazuma early to handle some things. Let me consider how to explain this. Oh, this is most embarrassing.
Oh, well, if this isn't a coincidence, I didn't want to miss the opportunity to taste them.
Paimon knew you couldn't possibly be up to anything good.
I just bumped into Kujo Sara a moment ago. She said that the Tenryou Commission has apprehended the criminal who stole all those copies of A Legend of Sword. You needn't worry about it any longer.
Huh? The criminal who stole A Legend of Sword?
Did I say something I shouldn't have?
Oh no. The person they apprehended, was it by chance an editor named Onodera?
Apologies, Kujo Sara didn't mention a name.
Everyone, it's too late to explain. We must make haste and rescue Onodera.
Welcome to Uyu Restaurant. Please talk to me if you want to order.
There has been so many lively young customers.
Please, wait. Onodera is innocent.
Oh, so you must be the author of A Legend of Sword.
Anyway, you mustn't take him away.
No need to worry, Zhenyu. I've just explained
Yes. In fact, we were just getting ready to leave.
Oh, phew. What a relief. Wait a minute.
Well, to be precise,
Shincho looks pretty flustered.
In the end.
No, Zhenyu. For the Irodori not only was this the first major project I was in charge, however,
Yes,
even though such an event will be difficult, so I came up with I thought everything will work out without it, to make things work.
Onodera. Also, at a previous event, the Yai Publishing House, I practiced tirelessly for an entire day to finally deliver a stylish and elegant signature for the event. But, looking back on it now, I had dug myself into a hole by delivering that nice
Hey, come on, you
Yeah, that's right.
Onodera?
Yes, I understand.
We should probably be heading back to Rito as well. Let's tag along.
right here.
Onodera? What are you doing?
I'm very sorry for all the trouble that I...
Yes, Onodera, but why didn't you tell everyone earlier?
That's right.
We're a team, and we should be helping each other in tough situations like this.
Let's leave the past behind us now. Our first priority is to help Genyu with his signatures. How is your progress so far?
My progress is not what I had hoped for. Even after working through the night these past few days, I've only finished perhaps 1/10 of the signatures.
Oh, no wonder Shincho looked so
I understand. Murata, go back to Yae Publishing House and get Aratani to book a room on the 2nd floor of the Uyu restaurant. We'll be using it for Genyu's emergency calligraphy lessons.
Yes, Mr. Hirayama. It just so
Yes, good idea. Ah, you've just reminded me. 2 calligraphers from Liyue arrived today.
It seems I'm really in for it now.
No need to worry, Genyu. I'm sure you can do it. Didn't you finish the last chapter of your novel in just 1 week's time?
Yes, but writing novels and learning calligraphy are 2 entirely different skills.
Even though Shincho still has to deal with his handwriting issue, Paimon somehow feels a little relieved now.
I always used to prefer working alone in my workshop, but I've come to realize that solving problems with others also has its merits.
We also owe a special ode of gratitude to the mysterious person who has been leaving important info for us along the way.
Huh? You mean whoever...
Pardon me.
Oh!
I see. It appears that Onodera and I were spotted when we were moving the books. Albedo, not only do I owe...
No problem.
Please be mindful of your personal safety at all times.
That figure was none other than Aoi no Okina himself. This turn of events had begun with an unnamed individual, under whose coercion, Aoi no Okina was forced to take drastic measures to retrieve a page of poetry. He knew nothing of this individual's true intentions. All he knew was that the poem had to do with an old acquaintance, Akahito.
Traveling to... Albedo really is something. He finished the portrait of Aoi no Okina in no time at all. Wonder how Shincho's calligraphy training is going at Uyu Restaurant. Hey, do you think whoever left those stories for us... Oh, hello? He's a friend of ours in the release... Oh, what's that sound? It was just a cat. Looks like we can't make them reveal themselves that easily. It's getting late now. Well, let's go back and get some rest. We still have to go to the docks and wait for another ship tomorrow morning. It's already time for us to be at the dock. The arrival schedule...
Greetings, Traveler in Paimon. I heard there would be guides for the Irodori Festival, but I didn't expect it would be you two.
We didn't expect to see you either! Returning as a guest for the Irodori Festival, no doubt.
I was a little surprised myself when I received the invitation. But after wandering the outside world for so long, it's good to have an opportunity to return to my homeland and pay respects to my old friends.
Kazuha, when we saw you in the distance just now, you seemed to be looking for something. What happened?
Ah, yes. You see, when I came off the boat with everyone just now, I suddenly heard light footsteps around me. I could tell they were not footsteps of a regular passenger. But by the time I turned around, the person had already disappeared. I only heard a splash come from below the pier. Even though I didn't manage to catch a glimpse of them, I found this strange piece of paper by my feet.
Oh, does the paper happen to have a poem written on it?
Huh. How did you know? Fascinating. It's almost hard to believe such things could happen. Please, have a look.
Last time, Aoi no Okina's poem ended with a reference to Akihito. And sure enough, this is a story about him. The story this time basically says that Akihito got his name from his love of red seals. However, the Shogun discovered that he had committed plagiarism, and he was soon exiled. Well, if Paimon were to rate today's story, it sounds pretty unfortunate.
I don't think there's anything particularly wrong with this story. I too was once wanted as a criminal by the shogunate, so I'm not all that different from Akihito mentioned in this story.
But according to the story, Akihito was exiled by the Shogun because of his wrongdoings. You did nothing wrong, Kazuha. Huh? Traveler, what are you thinking about?
Ah, by the way, you mentioned that your friend has been struggling because he's unable to sign his name quickly, right? In Liyue and Inazuma, there is a saying, that which has been stamped has also been signed. Perhaps using a seal could be a feasible solution. While sailing at sea, I sometimes carve things to pass the time. If you wish to create a stamp for his seal, I might be able to help.
Wow, that's an idea! Quick, let's go tell Albedo!
Interesting. A story of the 5 Kazen appears again, and with a timely solution. A stamped seal, huh? Let me think. Indeed, it is an efficient solution. If we use a stamp, then Xingqiu won't have to struggle with his animal. Since Xingqiu's sick, but...
Yes, that's it, Zhenyu. Your writing has greatly improved today, which means yesterday's intensive training was effective.
My apologies, but I simply can't do it anymore. My hands are so sore that I can't even move them anymore. I should have known better than to read novels during calligraphy class.
You just had a 10-minute break. Come on.
When it comes to pushing a deadline, there's no one more brutal than Mr. Hirayama.
No wonder Lady Yai would always send the editorial director to handle troublesome...
Whoa, this is getting scary. It hasn't even been that long and Xingqiu's already zombified.
Mr. Hirayama, we found a solution that might just solve our dilemma. In both Liyue and Inazuma, seals are widely used as the equivalents of a signature. If we use a stamp to leave the author's seal on the books, then we could make the signature process a lot easier. Of course, a seal on its own is not enough. So, I propose that each signature consists of 2 parts. First, we'll use a personalized seal. We can simply carve one using Chenyu's signature as the design. In addition, I'll also design a simple but elegant pattern that's easy for Chenyu to write. That way, he will only need to draw a simple pattern on each book.
Alright, I think that would...
So, what you mean to say is, I've been saved from this predicament?
Mr. Hirayama, it suddenly occurred to me that the reason we gave up on live book signings previously was because it would take too long for the author to sign each book. But if we adopted Calx's proposed method, we might have enough time to do signatures at the live event. And if all the authors signed their books in the same fashion, then Genyu's signature wouldn't look out of place.
If you think it's feasible, I would certainly be happy to design signatures for the other authors as well.
Yes, and you may leave carving the stamps to me.
In that case, I shall contact the other 2 authors participating in the new release event.
It is a great honor to use a signature designed by Calx.
My pen name is quite complicated and isn't suitable for signing events. However, if we implement this new format, then it'll be a dream come true for me as well.
Great! Looks like everyone's on board with the idea.
I'm sorry to have kept you busy for so long, Genyu. Please, take the next few days to have a good rest. We'll handle everything from here. The books that Genyu already signed can be used as special prizes in future events held by the Publishing House.
We did it. The event is saved.
Thanks to everyone's efforts, Onodera and I are finally free of that mess.
That's right! You're finally free, Xingqiu! Maybe you should step outside for some fresh air. Time to burn. And venti! That's an interesting combo.
I was just going to the festival venue to prepare the Ikebana lesson when I found a strange piece of paper on a flower stand. This bard just happened to be close by at the time. He informed me that you've also found similar papers recently. As such, we came together to find you two. But the paper she found isn't quite the same as the ones we found before. Here's the paper. Please, have a look.
All the poems we found before were roughly the same length, but this one is only 2 lines.
And even though there are only 2 short sentences, neither of them are next to the title or centered on the page. The position of the writing seems to indicate that there is other content written on this paper besides these 2 lines.
If we take the poem literally, it reads, "Dip this paper in water and see the truth naturally appear." Speaking of which, I have an ancient text at home, specializing in ancient and exotic stories. It mentions a special ink that will show itself when wet and disappear when it's dry.
So, shall we give it a whirl? It just so happens that there's a pond nearby.
Is there anything that will satisfy my taste buds?
Wow, look! It's really working! More words have appeared on the paper! Let Paimon see what it says. The story says that after Sumizomi got the collection of poems from Akihito and put them into a stream of water, the plagiarized words in the poem became blurry. Huh? Why would that happen?
You see, Paimon, in the past, when printing was not yet well developed, handwritten text could easily become smudged in books when exposed to moisture. To ensure the text lasted longer, they'd either write using a special ink or coat the paper's surface with a waterproof coating once the writing was finished. Such special inks are time-consuming and laborious to produce, and the waterproof coating could also prove just as difficult. However, since Akihito's poetry collection was an important gift to be presented to the Shogun, surely one of those two methods was used to protect it. But as for the plagiarized poems, not only would they lack Akihito's seal, but the words would also react differently when exposed to liquid.
Which means Akihito didn't plagiarize his work. He was set up!
Yes, it appears that this is the truth that Sumizome's story is trying to convey. Although the story is saddening, I've decided on the subjects to use for Akihito and Sumizome's portraits. Kazuha, Ayaka, would you be willing to be the models for my paintings?
I would be delighted.
Yes, as would I.
There you go. The next two portraits should be ready in no time.
Yes. And now that all 4 stories have all been collected, the story of the 5 Kazen is now fully completed.
Long ago, Inazuma had 5 legendary poets. People bestowed upon them the title of the 5 Kazen.
One year, the poet Suiko made his way to Tenshukaku and presented the Kazen's work for the Shogun's perusal. But a page from the works of Aoi no Okina had been torn out, and Suiko was questioned regarding the matter. Suiko pleaded guilty. He admitted to drinking at the tavern the night before, and vaguely recalled a mysterious figure approaching while he was intoxicated.
That figure was none other than Aoi no Okina himself. This turn of events had begun with an unnamed individual, under whose coercion, Aoi no Okina was forced to take drastic measures to retrieve a page of poetry. He knew nothing of this individual's true intentions. All he knew was that the poem had to do with an old acquaintance, Akihito.
Akihito had once belonged to the 5 Kazen. Each poem he composed, he marked with a scarlet red seal, hence the Aka in his name. Such a distinguished writer was he, and yet one of the poems he had submitted the previous year was found to be plagiarized. Akihito was exiled for his crimes, and only 4 of the 5 Kazen remained.
Sumizome went over Akihito's poems and noticed that the plagiarized poem lacked his seal. She immersed his poetry in a stream nearby, and only on the plagiarized poem did the ink run. Aoi no Okina passed by and witnessed Sumizome's doing, which he then recorded in a poem. Thus transpired the events of Suiko's poetry submission, and this is where the story comes to an end.
Yeah. Ever since we completed the story of the 5 Kazen, there's still one thing Paimon hasn't been able to figure out. One of the 5 Kazen is called Kuranushi, right? It's just that, how could the story of the 5 Kazen finish without him appearing at all?
Oh, have you really not noticed?
Huh? Not noticed what? This is no time to be playing games, Tone-Deaf Bard!
What he means is that the story of Kuranushi was already embedded within the 4 poems.
Huh? Really?
That's right. The key lies in the poem Akahito's poetry collection in a stream. Even Aoi no Okina couldn't figure out the meaning behind Sumizomi's actions. He was simply